yeah, this is going to be the second group of people to ever hear this. So, I sort of mocked something up like a book when it's printed. So this is a bit, I'll just go straight into it. Can you hear all right at the back?
Yeah. When you talk like that, we can.
Yes, I'll keep projecting. Okay, here we go. This is a section from the book called Noise and Noise. So the fateful day of the Sex Pistols' first ever gig swung round. Of course, Steve, Paul and Glenn, they played a few gigs as the Swankers. One above a cafe where they'd managed to get through at least 3 songs before they were booted off. This time, there was a different atmosphere. John added an extra element of danger, aggression and unpredictability. It wasn't there before. Kevin tagged along just to give them a hand. Now they didn't have a PA system, so they'd have to borrow one off Bazooka Joe, who was the other band on that night. But they thought perhaps they might be able to borrow their amps. The band, however, didn't like the look of them, so they made them go and get their own. Now the Pistols arrived back at St Martin's College shortly before they were meant to be on, about 6 in the evening, having rehearsed beforehand just over the road at their Denmark Street hangout. They then lugged the equipment over, up Charing Cross Road, huffing and heaving. Steve had his new guitar he'd managed to procure from Rod Stewart, as well as some amps that he'd liftily lifted from David Bowie, while the roadies were taking a quick nap. And they were all a little bit agitated and erratic from nerves, lurching through the smooth corridors and up the steel walkways of 6-hole floors. John was wearing a torn t-shirt, and it was black, while Steve had his best tight leather trousers, t-shirt and stylish cravat. Paul had a sex t-shirt on that read, "You're going to wake up one morning and know what side of the bed that you've been sleeping on." And Glenn was adorned in his best tan leather jacket and stone-washed grey jeans. Stylish. Bazooka Joe, on the other hand, were wearing sparkly silver jackets, replete with glitzy showbiz sequins. The contrast was striking. Now, as soon as Johnny went on, he started to goad the audience. He wanted a response and was determined to get one. "All right, ready to have a good time, are we? Well, I fucking hope not, because I'm going to spoil it for you, you cunts." The band blasted into their first track. "What you going to do about it?" A cover of the Small Faces. Johnny inadvertently changed the lyrics. "I want you to know that I hate you, baby. I want you to know I don't care." Steve was feeling a little nervous. He managed to drop a Mandrax pill earlier on. It was just beginning to kick in. So he decided to crank up the amps. We'll know what that's like. Yes, this aggressive attitude added an even more threatening miasma to the gig. Oh yes, the band ripped into Substitute by The Who. The Who? This is the second reading, apologies, but not being able to say words. Yes, the Substitute by The Who. Johnny managed to get bored halfway through, took out a sweet, and began chewing on it before spitting it at the audience. Now there was Jordan from Malcolm's Shops. He was there jitterbugging around with a beehive hairdo. Malcolm was there too, jittering and buggering around with his recently electrocuted hair. Vivian sneered and snarled at people savagely. She did that rather well. Malcolm pointed at the places where he wanted the band to stand, recalling his practice of being a manager with the New York Dolls. Now these were his new dolls to play with. They weren't quite so pretty, but they'd do. The small scraping of audience consisted of a few people that each band knew. John's friends, the Johns, they're all called John. Some dishevelled, disparate art students, and some hippies who gazed obliviously, as most hippies do. As well as a few other interested parties that the Pistols had encountered at Malcolm's shop, mainly hailing from Bromley, including one smart lad named William Broad, a quirky girl called Susie, who'd recently taken to spelling her name as S-I-O-U-X-S-I-E, and their friend Steve Havoc, soon to be Spunko. Yes, Cook and Jones were eyeing up the ladies, looking to get their ends away at the end of the gig with some art school totty, which they were led to believe weren't easy picking. They were playing a blinding version of Dave Berry's Don't Give Me No Lip Child, much like the Lolas, blinding and also deafening, and then aired their self-composed track, Satellite. After each song was hardly a single hand clap. People were too stunned to react, or at least weren't sure if the songs had finished, or whether they wanted to hear another one begin. The band hadn't managed to get much further than 5 songs when Bazooka Joe's singer, Andy Warren, clambered up to the amps and yanked the plugs out, while Danny the guitarist jumped up to where they were playing and pinned Johnny up against the back wall. "You bastards can't even play!" "So what?" burbled Glenn. Now there isn't really much we can come back to with that. Johnny gave Danny one of his icy dagger glares, and he backed off. "Come on, hit me!" Adrian turned me on. "Just stop it, you sod," said Kevin, rushing up to the stage to intervene. Danny let Johnny go, and he slumped down, dusted himself off, then scarpered pronto. There probably wasn't that much chance of a ruckus. Art students probably too worried about messing up their hair to cause any real damage. Or any stuff. Kevin could not believe what he'd just seen. The adrenaline was pumping double quickly around his body. He wanted to connect this sort of energy into the artwork that he was producing. It was of the now. Stu Goddard, Bazooka Joe's bassist, was standing there, gawked too. He'd been transfixed by what he'd just seen, and the thrill had also taken him over completely. He tried to offer some words of consolation. "Well, at least you got through a couple more songs than last time. Something of an improvement." The next minute, they were out of it, wandering around Piccadilly Circus, past those large neon signs of Raymond's Review Bar and various illuminated tobacco, camera and strip show adverts, the cool wind blowing on their burning skin. It was almost as if it had never happened, but they had a taste for it now, and they wanted more. The day after, Stuart left his band and didn't look back. Stuart Goddard is the actual name of Adamant. It's all about interconnections, and everything is interconnected somehow with the book. So the book's called Needles and Pins, and there's a website out there somewhere.